What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the JDW SportsTalkShow, where every fan's welcome. Officially back, ready to rock and roll for Just a Rival podcast. We have Aaron back here, head of the table, aka head of the table. You've seen him coming. He's been around for quite some time. He's a good Texans fan. He's not one of those annoying ones. He's relaxed. We'll see. He might get his feelings going a little bit, having a big game going on. But I'm excited, man. I mean, we're gonna glance over the Colts really fast. Just get them out of the way. No one wants to talk about them, so we're just gonna glance over the Colts really fast, and then we'll move right to the Texans, man, because they got a big game. They got a lot going for them. I mean, it's an exciting week for them. I mean, it's the second year in a row the Texans have won a playoff game, so that's pretty big stuff. I'm not trying to talk trash, but the Texans have been a team that has historically struggled and historically hasn't been great. So for the Texans to do that, that's pretty big. Now, will they be able to win and make it to the conference championship for the first time ever? I don't know, but they have a chance. They have a chance. So, Aaron, if you'd like to introduce yourself really fast.
How you doing, guys? I'm Aaron. I've been a Texas fan since like I was a little kid. Honestly, people say, "Oh, I can't wait to see a Super Bowl. I can't wait to see my team win a Super Bowl." Me, I haven't even seen my team go to the AFC Championship. So that's how you know it's been a struggle. Every one of our other teams in the division have gone to the AFC Championship except us. So, and then the repeat of playing the Chiefs in the divisional round, and it's like just hoping we can finally, after so many years, defeat them, especially right now being the two-time champions. So that'd be like the greatest win ever in franchise history, in my opinion.
Sure would. Going to the conference title is one step closer. It's a stepping stone to that big Super Bowl that the Super Bowl isn't only about like the money, but it's about like, the further you get into the playoffs, the more popularity your team gets, the more people that sees that team, they're like, "Hey, look at the Texans, man. They're playing pretty good." And the further you get, the more recognition you get, and sometimes that's just as fun. That's
Oh
that's
yeah.
just as fun when everyone sees your team. Yeah, man, they're a good team. They're a good football team. CJ
Mhm.
Stroud, that defense. That's a great feeling, being one of the best teams in the NFL and being one of the remaining eight. That's still a great feeling. But when you're like the remaining four or one of the
Yeah.
two, it's a whole different feeling, especially when you win that Super Bowl as well, when you win that ring. So really fast before we get into the Texans, we're going to talk about the Colts really fast. It's just a rival podcast, so we talk about both. We're not going to take too long. I mean, we don't want to sit here talking too long about the Colts. They're sitting home. They're a joke right now. But the Colts defensive coordinator search. So from what you've seen from the Colts defenses the last couple of years, the Colts have played very conservative defense. We've,
Mhm.
very, very relaxed, not a lot of blitzing. And the four guys that the Colts interviewed and they are very interested in, they are as aggressive as you can get in terms of how and how much man coverage they call, the blitzing they do. Wink Martindale, one of them, Dennis Allen, you have Steve Wilkes, and you have Lou and Arumo. So you have some really aggressive defensive coordinators here. So, that's going to be important, for going up against a team like CJ Stroud or a team like the Texans that have CJ Stroud trying to pressure Stroud. But Stroud is, I don't understand going after an aggressive defensive coordinator when you have such a damn good quarterback in another, in that other team, the Texans, because these aggressive systems are very good when it comes to quarterbacks aren't great. But once you run into a team that's capable, and to a quarterback that's capable of seeing pre-snap and just a quarterback and an offense that's capable, that is when these defenses really struggle. So, you're not really setting yourself up for success in your division, but you know, I I guess we're just looking for some kind of a change, man. I mean, we need it badly. We need something different. So, we're going after some really really aggressive defensive coordinators in terms of what they like to call blitzing, man coverage, and all that kind of stuff. And man, CJ Stroud thrives against blitzing and pressure.
Oh
So
yeah.
so it's like, you know, you gotta win your own division. You gotta play really well in your own division. We haven't won the division in God knows how long. It's been over 10 years. So
Yeah.
not really setting yourself up for success there. And then of course the joke of Chris Ballard will anything change for the Colts this offseason? We know they've been very, very like boring. They don't go and do anything. They trust their guys too much to the point where they don't go and improve what's really bad. Um, you know, what were your thoughts of Chris Ballard return? Did you think Chris Ballard was going to be leaving as well?
Honestly, I thought they would have fired him, and I rewatched that press conference you reviewed a few days ago, and honestly, the way he talked, the way he was answering questions, I was like, dude, this guy sounds like someone that should have lost his job like 2 weeks ago. Like he was talking about stuff, giving himself motivational quotes, and I was like, I was like, you're saying these quotes, but you're not improving on them. You're not showing you're gonna do it. And with the defensive coordinator situation, all I say is if he wants to rebuild the Colts, if he wants to put them back in the culture y'all used to be, let the defense coordinator do his job. Let the defensive coordinator pick his players in the draft. Go after who you want as free agents. Because yeah, the head coach can make all the calls, but you've got your defense coordinator who needs his players on the defense. Because the offense can have anybody that they want because that's who the head coach always looks at the offense. But with the defense, you can't just be lenient on them. You can't just be like, oh, we'll give y'all players and give them a third day free agent signing. You know.
Yeah, that I didn't think Gus Bradley was our former defensive coordinator was part of the solution, but I really didn't think he was the biggest problem in the puzzle here. I mean, he wasn't given adequate talent. When you have practice squad cornerbacks in two in every single cornerback spot, maybe except for Jalen Jones, who's maybe a solid 2. Other than that, every other one of these guys were from the practice squad. Or Kenny Moore, when he was healthy, he's playing well. But really, you cannot have an okay number 2 playing 1, a practice squad guy playing the other side, and then when Jalen Jones was hurt, I mean, it was 2 practice squads guys on the boundary. No, that's not going to fly in the NFL. You have to give your guys something to work with, and we've seen what Gus Bradley can do with the defense that adds talent. I mean, look, I believe he was a defensive coordinator that conducted the Legion of Boom, and he's done some incredible things, but they didn't give him any talent. But at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't seem like it matters too much if you let up 45 points to the Giants. I mean, that's kind of like the nail in the coffin. The last 2 times the Colts played the Giants, those are the Giants' 2 last high scoring games, and those games were like 2 years apart. And both of those games, the Giants scored 35 plus against Gus Bradley's defense. So yeah, I didn't think he was the biggest problem. Like you said, even in the presser, he's giving motivational quotes. He literally pointed out the problem himself. And he said, Chris Ballard said himself that he's very stubborn. He's very hard-headed. He wants to do things his way. And you're saying, yes, I'm having this problem. And then he said he was going and asking players for advice on how to build a team. Like, yeah, those players are making a lot of money, and those locker room leaders, sure, man, they know the team better than anyone else, but they're not the ones that you want building the team. You want them out there doing the best that they could, what they're doing.
And honestly, the way he sounded exactly like Bill O'Brien when he was our GM on his final year, where he was going after players, like telling them what they think, and then what did that end up? Players arguing with him, and then going to ownership, firing him immediately.
Yeah, and we had something interesting come out the other day. Dan Skipper, former offensive tackle, offensive guard. He was an offensive lineman, and he said that the departure from the Colts was very odd. Like he said that a lot of times when he was let go from a couple other teams before training camp or before the regular season during cuts, and he said every other team he was let go from, the GM and the coach talked to him before that happened. With the Colts, he didn't talk to neither before he departed. It's like he heard from someone else, from like a player or like a different kind of a coach. Like that right there throws up so many red flags. Like, what are we doing? Like, aren't you supposed to communicate head on with your player? Being shady isn't the way to do it, regardless of the caliber of the player you're dealing with. I don't think that sets a good example at all. It's horrible. But all right, that's enough. That's enough, man. The Colts. I got Moran out of the Colts. Aaron gave his opinion on the Colts, so it's time to move on to the Texans Chargers game from last week. We're gonna recap that game really fast before we get into the big game this week. So Texans and Chargers. My thoughts really quick before you give yours. That defense was absolutely incredible. I mean, the way they stifled the Chargers, the pressure all day long, and the Chargers have a decent offensive line.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that the Texans, they were just the better team in the bigger moments. I mean, CJ Stroud in that offense struggled at certain times, but it seemed like when it mattered most, the 2 minutes at the end of the first half, they had like 10 points in like 2 minutes or something. Like the 2-minute warring offense, and just the situational football off the charts. So they play their best football when it matters most, and they take advantage of the big opportunities that the Chargers, they just did the complete opposite. I mean, dropping passes. I don't think. I mean, 4 interceptions. Justin Herbert did not play well.
Yeah.
I mean, you rewatch the game. He didn't have much help, but at the end of the day, 4 receptions. You do have to put it on him a little bit. But all right, it's your turn. Take the stage, man.
Honestly, from last week, all first half, honestly, I was kind of giving up on my team because the offense wasn't doing nothing. What happened on our first drive, the first play, throw to John Mechie, fumbled it. When that fumble happened on our first drive, I was like, oh, this game isn't going to go the way I want it to be. I was like, hey, I don't think I'm going to show up anytime soon on anything, talking mess. But honestly, the way the offense was struggling, it was crazy to just see how the defense just kept that energy. They kept getting back on and off the field, and I thought the defense was going to get gassed, but that defense just stayed resilient. Like when CJ got picked off, what happened the next play? Justin Herbert got picked off, and that's just the crazy defense we have. And with our defense, the good thing is we don't have a lot of injuries. Key pieces like Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie, but other than that, when it comes to the line, when it comes to the linebackers and cornerbacks, we have depth, which helps. Like, so if Will Anderson gets gassed, okay, Derek Barnett get in. Say Danico Autry gets gassed, Mario Edwards come in. So it's just great, and then that helps to go against the Chargers offensive line because Joe was doing great against us, but as they kept going on and off the field, he kept having to go against Will Anderson or Mario Edwards, Danico Autry, Will Anderson, and it's just like you can't handle all of those different body types against you. And just as I said last week on the podcast, the Chargers run game, I already knew it wasn't going to do nothing. They only had like 50 yards of rushing because I knew they were going to pass more, especially if it came in desperate times. And thankfully, the defense stopped them. And as I said, I was just hoping Justin Herbert didn't tear up our defense by passing. Thankfully, he didn't with those 4 interceptions. And it's crazy knowing that he had 3 interceptions all season, and he had more in the postseason with 4 in one game. But the offense, they did struggle. CJ had some bad, horrible passes. Like he threw an interception into nowhere land, and I was like, CJ, if this game ends right now, I'm blaming it on you. But soon as the defense kept pushing, soon as the defense kept saying, "Hey, here's the ball back again," and then there was just an instant whenever the Chargers punted it to us, and we got to the 1 yard line. I just had this weird feeling that we were going to score all the way from the 1 yard line, but the one key play was that hike and fumble, and I was like, oh, okay, I know where this game's going, but it didn't. CJ picked the ball up, ran around the line, threw a dot to Xavier Hutchinson, and just it went on from there. And the one key thing that I loved for the offense before the half ended, but before the game ended, was CJ decided to use his feet finally. Like, he's not a slow quarterback at all. I don't know why they don't say, hey, just run out of the pocket, because CJ is a pocket passer, but he's ran in Ohio State. He's ran anywhere whenever he has to make a play. But here in this game, this is where we needed him to run. And when he blew off for that, I believe, 27-yard run, that was just incredible with what he did there. Like, it had me hyped up when he was pumping his chest. But the way the defense played, that was just incredible. The offense just did what the defense let them do. Stingley, this is why he's an all-pro. He had 2 interceptions. He should have had a pick 6, but the blocking whenever he intercepted it was just terrible. I don't know why they lost awareness of where the guy was to tackle him, but he should have had a pick 6. Kamari Lassiter, he's a dog for a rookie, getting 1 interception. Our safety, Eric Murray, who had the 1 pick 6, he's been with us since we lost to the Chiefs in 2019 in that blowout. And we were always the type. I'm always a fan, and I have other fans that were always like, "Who is Eric Murray? Why is he even on this team?" He's been with us for I'd say 5 years, just a backup depth piece. And look at him now. He got a key pick 6. I got to give props to the special teams as well, especially our coordinator Frank Ross. Like, we had a possible we had a tipped block punt. Yeah, it still traveled, but we still blocked it, and that PAT block was just incredible. I was like, ain't no way this is real. When they blocked it, caught it back, ran it all the way down for 2 points. I was like, this isn't real. So other than that, the way the team played all together, once it was 4 minutes before halftime, the way the team played together, and then all the way into the end of the game, it was just incredible. The only thing we got to fix up is our turnovers, like Joe Mixon fumbling, CJ's interceptions, just key situational drives, especially the one we got to go against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. But other than that, is just cleaning up what we can do, doing better offensively because we cannot have a first half the way we did against the Chargers. But for the defense, keep that energy the way y'all had it all full game against the Chargers.
That's right, man. I mean, like you said many times, there were many times where bad things didn't, there were things that didn't go the Texans' way, but they fought back. They didn't let that determine how the rest of their day was going to go, and that says so much about the Texans' leadership, their head coach. The leadership on the field, and CJ Stroud. They just never give up, and I'm sure, I think last time you were talking about you were a little not too happy with CJ Stroud in terms of him just not really showing any emotion, but during that game, him showing emotion, doing the chest pump and stuff, that had to really get you excited because not seeing emotion a little bit, and then finally seeing it in the biggest game of the season, that had to get you going even more. So that brings us to other thing. I mean, the leadership, the energy, the big time moments. Let's get an update on your thoughts on Bobby Slowick. Are they still the same as last time? You're still out on him.
I still am out on him. Even say we beat the Chiefs today, I'm still out on him because his play calling is just terrible. Like against the Chargers that first half, a lot of it was on CJ, a lot of it was on the players, but a lot of it was his play calling. But he did clean it up as the time went on and the players were executing perfectly. And but still, I feel heading into next season, he just shouldn't be the same coordinator for us. But just interviewed for a head coaching job by the Jets. So a lot of Texan fans on Twitter, me, were all like, "Hey, go ahead and sign him if you want to," because we do have key candidates. Like we have our quarterback coach Gerard Johnson, who we would definitely love to see. He's been a quarterback coach for CJ for honestly since he was in like before college. Like he was that coach that was just there, and then out of nowhere they just aligned together the Texans. But I know there are key offense coordinators that are getting fired, here and there, and we'll execute that once the season's over, just to see who we can go after. But other than that, Bobby, I pray that you do you do better, you do great today, just so we can win, just so other teams can be like, okay, let's go after this offense coordinator because he's taking the Texans to where they haven't been.
Right, and say, hey man, it's it's kind of like a win-win or lose-lose. Like if you lose, and say another team doesn't want Bobby Slowick, or you'd probably say the Texans keep him, even though you don't want him.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things where he's just going to stay because it's just one of those things. Sometimes you don't want someone to stay, but he just does. Just like Chris Ballard. I mean, Chris Ballard should have been gone a couple of years ago. I mean, he's still here, and he admits it. It's his fault. But Bobby Slowick, I mean. But then if you win, obviously you advance to the conference championship for the first time forever, dude. I cannot tell you how much I'm rooting for the Texans. I don't care if I'm a Colts fan. I don't care. I want to see the Texans. They've done such a phenomenal job. How can you not love CJ Stroud? How can you not love the rest of that team, the energy that they have, and what they bring to the field? It's such an awesome team. It's such an awesome thing they have going on there. But yeah, if you win. Yeah, I mean, teams are going to look at him even more, and then on top of that, you're advancing. So it's kind of like you're trying to win yourself a new offensive coordinator as well as going to the conference championship. It's pretty. That's a pretty interesting way to look at it, but it's the truth, right? So let's get right into the big thing now, to the big one now. Chiefs Texans. What are your biggest, the biggest things the Texans have to do? That offensive line, Chris Jones, Does it, does the offense have to come out and stay consistent? They can't turn the ball over. This is not a game where they can't afford to turn the ball over. I mean, you give Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs a couple of extra tries, and that's a recipe for disaster right there. I mean, what are you thinking? Some of the big important things, defensive wise, offensive wise. Let us hear it.
So honestly, ever since I'd say Monday, just because I finally get the Chargers game off my mind, it's been just straight Saturday, waiting for the Chiefs. And the crazy thing is, yesterday when I got off work, I was just tired, just getting ready. I was like, okay, tomorrow's the game, and all that. I'm the type to just watch a lot of YouTube and all that. I hopped on YouTube. The first video I see is the NFL posted, "Oh, Chiefs versus Texans 2019 full game." I'm like, okay, NFL, okay, I see where you're going. I said, y'all really want to go back to the past. And it's crazy to me because it's like we have nobody from that team on our team no more, but there are players on the other team. DeAndre Hopkins is on the Chiefs. Justin Reed is on the Chiefs. And I'm like, they're the players that were on that 2019, 2019 team. And the way they all the social media has been talking, Stephen A. Smith, Paul Pierce, all of them, they're just all saying, "Oh, this is a practice week." Like Rex Ryan said bye week last week, and now everybody's saying practice week. I'm like, okay, this is showing that y'all don't watch Texans football at all. Y'all just go off of what the final score is and what highlights y'all see. Yep. And I saw a ranking earlier this week that said like all the rankings of every team in the playoffs right now. They had us dead last, and I'm like, didn't y'all just see we blew out the Chargers? And somebody like say the Commanders or something like that, they all were in a close game. So it's like, how are we not better when we literally blew out a team that y'all thought we wouldn't have even had a shot against? But heading into this game, it's just a game that I can't get my mind off of because this is just history after history. I just think of JJ Watt. I think of no name Deshaun Watson. Just all of our former players that have so many just bad moments against the Chiefs. Just the PTSD of the Chiefs. Just like honestly, we were like with our 24-0 comeback, with their 24-0 comeback against us. That was the reason they got their first ring. So that's like what's even terrible. But heading into this game, this is a different team that we have. That's a different team that they have. They've been off for 2 weeks. We've been practicing all week. Thankfully, it's cold over here in Houston, so we've had like great conditions to be like, okay, let's get ready for the cold over there, because they said the low over there should be 12 degrees, but high should be 21. But honestly, we've been in like the 40 ranges over here, and just this upcoming week it's fixing to snow, which is crazy. So I'm like, hey, give me that Texans win and give me some snow. But going into this game though today, it's just all about coaching, hoping D'Amico can outcoach Andy Reid, which is gonna be a tough decision thing to do. Bobby Slow going up against their defense coordinator, CJ going up against just everybody on that defense, especially having Nico, having John Mechie, Robert Woods. He's questionable, but he should play. Xavier Hutchinson. And a key benefactor is that I didn't talk about from the Chargers game is how we cut Deontay Johnson. And, that's a whole drama field, because now I see why we cut him. Pouting in the locker room after we won. I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah. I'm like, how can you be a player pouting because you didn't make a play? Like, okay, well, you don't deserve to be on a team that has this energy that you don't have.
Exactly.
We will have Shaq Mason back in the lineup, and I don't like it. I don't like it because he is one of the reasons why we did have a pretty crappy offensive line this year. But hopefully he's back from injury. Hopefully he cleans his act up. It's all on the offense, just relying on CJ to make the plays, to his receivers. I just have a feeling Nico will still go off because he broke our franchise record last game. Joe Mixon, just hoping he finds the right cuts, the right routes. Like I said, I hated that Bobby Slow last game kept using the inside zone runs, and it's like our interior was struggling in the beginning. But as we kept running on the Chargers, the run got better. But we can't just be relying on, maybe a play, one of these run plays will do something better. No, we can't do that. We got to keep, like, what I liked from last game heading into this game is Bobby Slow decided to pass more than run more. So I was like, keep that up. Just keep passing. And if they assume that you're going to pass, just start running it. Like, you're going to get gas. You're going to gas the defense and kill that clock. Because I don't want Patrick Mahomes getting any single second or any single minute to have to score against us, especially in a single-digit game. And with the defense, I'd say I want Stingley on Hopkins, Kamari on Xavier Worthy. Just those would be the key matchups, and both of them, they'll be key lockdowns right there. I just hope the defensive line can execute and attack that Chiefs offensive line the way they did against the Chargers, because the Chargers have a better offensive line than the Chiefs, that's for sure. And I just hope the Texans defense can do what they did against them. The linebackers, I know they'll keep up what they've done. The safeties, the way Eric Murray had a pick six last week, I hope for another. And then another benefactor is just the weather conditions. Just hopefully, especially with our kicker Kaimi, they said there's no wind, so hopefully that doesn't mess him up. Even though he still misses PATs with no wind inside of our stadium. But another thing is the referees too. That's the one thing I'm not ready for. But other than that, is just being ready for Patrick Mahomes' movement, his ability, just making sure you have that spy on him. Say our one of our linebackers like Henry Toto or Aziz Al-Shire or Christian Harris, just keep one of them spying on him just so he don't run out of the pocket, make a play by running inside to just dart it to anybody, and then just making sure you're clouding all of their weapons, just making sure you're not allowing them a single open pass. That's all I gotta say for the defense. And then for special teams, just keep doing what y'all do. Y'all been doing great all season, but overall, it's on the offense to make sure y'all score in key situations.
That's right, man. Don't change what's working, but what isn't working, change. This is a week you have no room for error. It's just the Chiefs are one of those teams. We all know. I know I don't really have to say it, but I mean, run that ball outside, man. Do not even try to force it going up the middle and just pray for a play. No, you kind of have to just play to your strengths and play, away from the Chiefs' strengths, because I mean, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Chris Donna, those guys are no joke, man. So I mean, if you could get that run going on the outside, get some outside run going, maybe get some play action rollouts going, I think that could be a really good opportunity for the Texans to get something going offensively. I mean, like you said, they have a really good weapon in Nico Collins. They have a couple of other guys that can make plays in there. It's really that defense that's going to have to keep them in the game, which I think that defense is going to have to keep them in the game, but the offense is going to have to win the game, especially against Mahomes. I mean, defense is great and all, man, but if your offense cannot win the game, especially against Mahomes, your offense has to be able to do that, but the we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be an exciting game. So did you say you're taking the Texans? Because you're taking the Texans, right?
No, of course, I'm going for sure Texans. Of course. I honestly, I was 20. That's how I'd go with this. I believe it's based on our defense scoring those, and honestly, so situations where Chris Jones can attack that interior, that's better than last week. And the good thing is, from last week, going against somebody like Joey Bosa, a little mental health, going to the play on the defensive line, and then heading into the next week playing somebody else good, just preparing them for what the playoffs are bringing.
That's right. It's a good way to look at it. And another big thing is, I mean, if there's a game to come out firing, to come out and do the best you absolutely could from play one to quarter four when it hits, or the first quarter in general, the first two quarters, like the first half. I mean, like you said, the Chiefs starters, they're on 2 weeks of rest, man. I mean, if the Texans could get out there and that offense can get them up a couple scores. Now, there's not always a case, as we know. I hate to bring it up, but it's not always the case you get up early, but considering, that this Texans defense is different now than it was in 19, I'd say, this defense is just absolutely absurd. It's awesome, very underrated. And if the Texans can get out quick, they can start fast. I mean, it's their best chance because those players, I mean, they're on 2 weeks of rest. Their best players are on 2 weeks of rest. So get out there and start fast. Don't mess around, just put CJ Stroud in the best spot that you could to have him succeed. I mean, he's going to succeed no matter what, but put him in the best spot, come out firing, and that's what you're really going to have to do. So I am going to take the Chiefs. I'm sorry. I want to see the Texans win, man. I do. But it's just that interior of the Texans offensive line scares me, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, CJ Stroud can get the ball out quick. You're gonna have to, he's gonna have to be able to read that defense fast, which he could because we how Steve Spagnuolo likes to call his defenses. He likes to, pull all these crazy stunts out, the blitzes, the blitz bluffs. You never know what he's gonna do. So, but CJ Stroud will read the field just fine. That's not gonna be the issue. It's just that how fast could he get that ball out to mitigate that pressure? Are you gonna dink and dunk and give you're probably gonna have to take what the Chiefs give you. You know what, man, this is one of those moments I just completely lost my train of thought. I just completely lost my train of thought.
Honestly, for me, like when we're in the playoffs and all that with CJ, I always just say, CJ, I need you to have that mindset and that play style the way you played against Georgia in your final season at Ohio State, because the way you went off, I need you to go off again. That's the way I need your mindset. I need you to be calm. I need you to be loud once you make that play, just motivating yourself, having that confidence. Because once you lose that confidence, you're just done. But so don't lose that confidence. Even if you get picked off on one play, it's fine. Just do what you did last week. Just keep going after what you can go get, and just try to score again. But other than that, it's just relying on what we can do, what the defense can do, and where we can put ourselves in key situations.
That's right. Both teams are going to make mistakes, but who's going to bounce back better? Who's who's going to keep going better? And I think and the Texans are one of those teams that can do that because of how strong their leadership is, because of how strong their quarterback is in terms of just leading the team and keeping going no matter what happens. And that's one good thing about him being emotionless. I mean, nothing affects him, but like you said before, you do want him to get you do want him to be a little more emotionful when good things are happening or some certain things are happening. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I want to see the Texans do it. I want to see the Texans go to the conference championship for the first time. But that interior defensive line, man, I mean, that it's scary.
That's like the key matchup to watch. Just their defensive line versus our offensive line.
Big time. And if the Texans can get the ball out quick, if they can get the run game going a little bit, and another big factor is if you go up 2 scores early, that's going to quiet that crowd too. That Kansas City Chiefs crowd they're insane. They're insane. So
and between 2019 and now, if our defense now was on that 2019, that comeback would not have happened because the defense now that we have is better than what we had last year. That in 2019 is in 2019 we had our old Jonathan Joseph. We had just old key players on that defense. And now look at us. We got Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, just a key depth of defensive tackles. Got Kamari, a rookie who's playing out of his mind. Derek Stingley Jr. over there getting picks after picks, just being an all-pro cornerback. Yeah, we'd love to have Jimmy Ward or Jalen Petrie, but the safeties who are back there, they're doing what they can do right now. And with that 2019 matchup, a lot of people go back to that matchup when it's like we have nobody. Like it's not like we have Deshaun Watson still, and like we literally just played the Chiefs 3 weeks ago. Why don't y'all go back to that game when we lost to them by only 8 points? And the main reason we lost to that point is because everybody lost their motivation and confidence once Tank Dell got hurt. Because honestly, we were still in that game no matter what, especially because we scored, but then Kaimi missed a PAT to make it 7 points, but we lost by 8 points. But still, we were in that game in Kansas City and just lost by 8 points. But still, like a lot of these announcers, media, they want to go back to 2019. Meanwhile, we just played them 3 weeks ago.
Right. And yeah, that big win last week I think is very important. I think it's I think it's a good thing that you guys played a team that a lot of people were doubting you guys against, and you beat them pretty sound. I think that's vital for the confidence, because coming into the postseason, the Texans were cooling off; they weren't heating up. So
Yeah.
getting that win versus the Chargers, I think playing the Chargers, playing a team that a lot of people didn't think you would win, and I'll admit it, I was one of those teams too. I was proven very wrong, and winning one of those games, winning a game in the playoffs versus a really well coached team versus another really strong quarterback, that's big for the confidence going into this week
Yeah.
against the Chiefs because you're playing another really strong quarterback, another really well coached team. This team has just been there and won it all. No one likes them. We want them to be gone, but Texans, please do it. Please do it, man. The entire world is rooting for the Texans except for that little spot on the United States map where the Chiefs are. That's it. There's no one else that wants to see the Chiefs win.
Shoot, with the amount of like fans we have in the Mexican culture now, we were praying so hard. We're just ready. We got the Bibles out and ready.
That's right. That's right. So, all right, are you ready to quick fire the rest of the games,
Yeah.
or do you have any last thoughts for this one?
So far, no. I mainly went through what I had to go through with the Chiefs and this matchup today. But other than that, yeah, I'm good for the rest of the division round.
All right, sounds good. Let's quick fire go through them. So, Texans Chiefs, right? Talk about that one. Let's go to the other side of the AFC. The Ravens and the Bills. Another really good matchup, man. I mean, it's kind of like the Bills pass the ball really well. They're not good at stopping the run, and that's not a good recipe for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That might be a long day. I think the key for the Bills is, whoever gets out faster in this game, whoever starts faster, I think that's who's going to win the game. Because if the Bills get out fast, take that run game away from the Ravens, that's going to be your key. But the Ravens, they get out fast. Their defense gets going fast. Both passing defenses are not very good. No, the Bills is much better than the Ravens. Ravens is like the 31st ranked pass defense. Like, it's really bad. So, the Ravens, they're going to have to get out going quick. But, who do you trust more in a shootout? Lamar Jackson and his weapons, or Josh Allen and his weapons?
Well, for right now, since they reported that Zay Flowers is out again, honestly, I'm still going to go with even when the game ends, I'm still going to review now. But even when the game ends, I'm going to go with the Bills to win. But the only reason I say that is because they're in Buffalo. The weather conditions in Buffalo will get crazy. But honestly, the way that Bills mentality is, the fans, it's gonna be a hard one for the Ravens. But the Ravens, the way they played against the Steelers, that was just mind blowing. How they went off like that. Like T.J. Watt was getting just so mentally confused on those option routes. I was like, dude, how are you getting confused like this? Like, just hand off to Derrick Henry. He's going up to Derrick Henry. Lamar has the ball. I'm like, oh man, you're getting beat. So, but I know it's different with the Bills because they have a key defense mentality. The only reason with the Steelers is because Steelers honestly went in there just not ready, not prepared. The offense and defense just weren't prepared at all. Russell Wilson wasn't who he was. George Pickens wasn't as lethal as he was. Defense wasn't doing nothing. So, but this is a matchup, honestly, one of the best matchups of the weekend, honestly, because you got Lamar and Josh Allen, both good passers, both great runners. So honestly, I don't even want to see how huge the stats are between both quarterbacks with running and passing. Like, I feel they're both going to go over like 300 total yards the way they're going to pass and run. But with the Bills, they got a good defense, but they just got to be prepared for that run game from the Ravens because we all know they're going to run their asses off. They're not going to pass much, especially with the weather conditions. If it does snow, I don't really know right now, but if it does snow, I know there's going to be nothing but runs. I know they're not going to trust the pass. And with the Ravens defense going against the Bills, I just know Josh Allen's going to honestly kill them. I just feel it. Like, if he wants to pass, he's going to pass. And the way he's been all year, like, between them two, I'm calling Josh Allen the MVP. Because he's just a key passer. He'll run when he just sees that small opening and run, and he makes it happen. Like we saw whenever he played the Chiefs earlier this season when he was running all over them instead of passing. So on that, yeah, I got the Bills because I don't know, this Bills defense and offense are just that total team where you feel they'll just get past this weekend with the W.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. It's going to be, like you said, probably game of the week. Next two games, I think they have upset potential. I think both games in the NFL have upset potential.
I think so too.
We're going to start with the Commanders and the Lions. That Lions passing defense is like 27th ranked passing defense. That's not a very good passing defense, man. And of all teams to go up against, they're going to be playing the good old Commanders, Jaden Daniels, the way they have been playing going to the divisional round. I didn't have the Commanders beating the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs have been in the playoffs so many times, and with all that experience that the Bucs have, I thought that the Bucs would have done pretty well, but the Commanders said, "Nah, man, we're gonna prove all you wrong." They went to Tampa Bay, and a team that was led by Tom Brady a couple of times in the playoffs. That the Commanders beat. It's pretty impressive, and Baker's clutch too. I just think that not having anything more than Mike Evans really hurt them. But Commanders and Lions, man, I mean, it's gonna be a great game. I want to hear what you guys say first.
Honestly, this is the one game where I'm like, I want to pick the Commanders, but then again, I'm like, I'm gonna pick the Lions. It's kind of like a back. Like honestly, I still don't even have a winner. I'm just like, I'm gonna just see who wins because it's one of those matchups where, like I said, I literally been saying this since the playoffs started, and I said last week, I just felt like the Lions are gonna be that team that just somehow choked, and I just have a feeling they might, but. The way Jaden Daniels walked into Tampa Bay, I know Detroit's gonna be louder, way louder than Tampa, especially inside the stadium, roof closed. It's gonna be louder. Just the mentality he's gonna have is gonna be that just what he had all season, just dotting up his players, pass to Terry, get those touchdowns. But with the Washington defense, they're gonna have to be ready for that offense because that Detroit offense is gonna be Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, them two are that two-headed monster game. Man, the receiving weapons though too. They just got to be ready. I think honestly, this is gonna be a straight-up offensive game. Like I couldn't even tell you the over on points. I couldn't tell you the over on points or anything. I just feel this will go down to the wire. If it's somehow a blowout, it's a blowout because the better team won, which would be the Lions. But if it's a close game, honestly, I don't know. I don't even have a pick because honestly, I didn't think that Jaden Daniels was going to move the ball all the way to get a game-winning field goal, and he did. But for me, I was actually working out in the gym and I was watching the final seconds. And I said, "Oh, y'all better pray hard, Zane Gonzalez don't miss this." And he doinked it and it went in, and I was like, "This game." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Here we go." I said, but for me, honestly. I wanted to see Commanders versus the Lions because I felt that would be like the Texans, like it's a David versus Goliath over here. So honestly, this is going to be these games today are going to be the games where the upset you got to watch out for that upset.
Big time. And then if the Lions do win, and then we move to the other side, we got the Rams and the Eagles. Former Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford, if he finds a way to beat the Eagles, and then we have the Lions. And the Lions win, we're getting Matthew Stafford versus his old team in the conference championship. That would be a treat. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
But Rams and Eagles, I mean, that Eagles passing defense, they're inconsistent, it seems like. But the Rams have so many weapons, and you can never count Matthew Stafford out. I mean, he's been there, he's battle tested, he's won it all. And Hurts, he's been through a lot as well, but I'm taking Matthew Stafford over Hurts 10 out of 10. I don't really think that's too much of a question, but I just think that the Eagles are too well-rounded of a football team. I don't know if the Rams could stop that run. And then Matthew Stafford is another one of those quarterbacks, man. He's aggressive. He could have those games where he throws an interception or two, and then with the Eagles' run game, they're really going to limit those possessions. You cannot afford to lose those possessions versus the Eagles, Saquon Barkley and Hurts. So I do think the Eagles will win this one. I hate to be a Debbie Downer and take the Eagles and then take the Lions over the Commanders, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to take both teams that are favored to win. I hate to do it. I mean, I want to see an underdog do it, but these are just two teams that I think are too good in their own ways, and I think we're going to see the Lions and the Eagles in the conference championship. What do you think about that last game, the Rams and the Eagles?
Honestly, for me, I thought the Vikings were going to tear up the Rams I felt it would still be like near a close game, but still tearing them up just in general. But the way the Rams stopped Jefferson, Jordan Addison, all of the key weapons, I feel they'll still have the same game plan against weapons like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. It's just they got to watch out for Saquon. That's the main key piece they got to be ready for. Jalen Hurts, I honestly have never had confidence in him. I just feel he's that choker in the playoffs that Eagles always have to be ready for. That like it sucks to say that they got to be ready for their own player to choke because he can get distracted. He can be in situational awareness where he'll make dumb decisions. And I feel the Rams with that defense, like I literally expected nothing from the Rams, but the way they played last week, I was like, between them and Vikings going against the Eagles, Rams honestly might have more of a fight because the Vikings defense, they're always inconsistent here and there, but the Rams defense, all season they've always had great fights against certain good offensive teams. Especially we saw it last week, having Sam Darnold see ghosts again. But with the weapons with Matthew Stafford, Puka, honestly, it's all just based on who can make the key situational plays. Just going up against the Eagles in Philadelphia, which will be just even. It's the same with the Commanders going against Detroit in Philadelphia, loud, just loud arenas, just loud crowd. They got to be ready for that situation. And other than that, I mean, yeah, for me, I'm still going to go with Lions and Eagles, but I'm the same way. I want to see the upset just to see it happen. But yeah, honestly, I feel all these games aren't going to be no blowouts. I feel they'll all still be like either down to the wire or you're going to know by the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I can see that. But could you imagine, the NFC Conference Championship being not including the Lions or the Eagles? It's the Commanders and the Rams.
It's true. That honestly be like an NFL fan's dream of any other team. They'd be like, "Oh, cool, we don't get to see the number one ranked team anymore going, and we get to see some underdogs play. No social media hype because who's the media really going to be like going after? They're going to be like, oh well, now we got to make a hype video for the Commanders. Like, oh, we don't want to do that. We would have rather done that for the Lions.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when they're in the spotlight, and that's who you're like you were saying, it's a lot easier for those guys to make, a highlight or a hype up for the Lions because they've been watching them all season long. They've had the primetime games, but the Commanders are going to have to do a little digging. They're going to have to watch some games over. They're going to have to look into it a little bit. Compared to the Lions, you don't really have to because you kind of just see on the surface, see what they're about and how good they are.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for this podcast episode, man, for Just a Rival, first official episode. Last time we had DJ and Aaron record, it was just kind of like a test run, and, I found one clip in there I really liked, brought that up, but this whole episode is going to be up, man. The first official episode of Just a Rival between a Colts and a Texans fan. I don't see this podcast getting too heated. I think who we have on here is just we're very chill. So I don't see it get heated. But hey, man, you never know. We might have some good yelling matches in there. I don't think so. But
next season when they play each other again.
Yeah, we might there. But all right. Do you have anything else you want to say for the Texans, for anything that we talked about today before we get out of here?
Nothing much else. I'm just praying for that W today. I'm praying I can go later at 10 o'clock to celebrate, being like, "Hey, welcome back home. I'm glad to see y'all finally beat the Chiefs and we'll get that win." No more Taylor Swift, no more Patrick Mahomes, no 3-peat. I don't want to see none of that no more.
That's right. You guys are going to be freaking superheroes. You beat the Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
But all right, man. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you coming on here today. It was a good time. Had a really good time talking some football. On here almost 50 minutes. The first time I think you guys were on here over, I think, 45 minutes as well. So episodes are going good. They're flowing well. So that's going to be it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Going to get ready for the playoffs here just in a short couple hours. We have a gambling episode coming out soon as well. So thank you guys for tuning in to the JDW SportsTalkShow this time for Just a Rival podcast. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you miss any future videos. Just a Rival. A lot of stuff coming up. We have a great team here, great people we're working with. It's a privilege, it's an honor to work with these guys. So that's it. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everyone watching. This is JDW signing off.